Kwang Ju Air Base exists today as a result of sheer determination and the many hours of hard work by dedicated aircraft personnel. It was carved from the Korean soil in the dead of winter, surviving despite limited facilities and accommodations. The U.S. portion of Kwang Ju was born of necessity in a time of crisis. The reason for its activation was a series of provocative incidents by North Korea, including the assassination attempt of the South Korean president in January of 1968 and the capture 2 days later of the USS Pueblo by North Korea patrol boats. The resulting Korean buildup, of which Kwang Ju Air Force Base was a vital part, was codenamed Combat Fox. The base, which is owned and operated by the Republic of Korea Air Force, had few Americans prior to the buildup. They were members of the 6146 Air Force Advisory Group. The AFAG commander was charged with activating and organizing a new support squadron. My father, P.Wilson, was part of that group, and he carried with him an 8mm camera. And all the footage you see here is footage he shot, and every word you hear here is my research and me interpreting his footage on with the story. Playing a major role in the establishment and growth of the base were prime beef construction teams. Much of the credit for the success of the buildup belongs to these men who overcame great difficulties in preparing the base for the deployment of the United States Air Force Tactical Fighter Squadron. The achievement at Kwang Ju was a considerable one. Converting the location in a matter of weeks to a fully operational facility capable of supporting combat and training missions testified to their achievement. The founding fathers of Kwang Ju Air Force Base were replaced by permanent troops who maintain the mission, support, and combat training missions of assigned tactical fighter units. The Republic of Korean Air Force ROKF shares Kwang Ju Air Base with the United States Air Force. Hosting the United States Air Force units at the base is the ROKF 1st Fighter Wing, flying the F-5, F-86, and T-33. The 1st Wing's mission is to conduct offensive and defensive air operations in case of communist aggression. American Air Force, or military, was there to train Korean flyers and Korean fighters. And my dad was there to help train the Koreans how to put bombs on airplanes and arm the planes. He also spent his time, experiencing life in Korea and obviously shooting this area here, which is probably outside of Kwang Ju. Like I said, it's probably 1968-ish. And if you can read the signs, you can probably interpret a little better where it's at, but I can't. So I think it's a pretty interesting take, pretty interesting shot. Guy from Nebraska, Dad was from Nebraska. Probably 68. He was a little in his 30s by now. Seasoned. He had been to Korea earlier. But these are the citizens of a town, I guess, near an Air Force base. And these soldiers are rolling through. And takes a picture of the local people. There's a guy. Now, it shouldn't be Oxby doing the work here. But no, look at him. He cares about his animal. He says, I'll take it. You take a break, kid. You've been working all day. I'll carry this thing up this cross. It's not really a cross, but it looks like a cross. So that's how they pump and irrigate their farmland. Another guy out there, he's pumping his water. Now this sign here says Kwang Ju Base Operation, and then the rest is in Korean, so I don't know exactly what that is. I think that's a guy who my dad's guide when they were there, or their local guy. This is out their front door. They're near the water. I think Kwang Ju is a big city now in Korea, or a larger city. Maybe this is on the outskirts. I'd be interested to know. He was there to put bombs on airplanes. That's what my dad did. He put bombs and weaponry on airplanes, and he was in early on. Kwang Ju. I can't tell here. This looks like a fairly early training thing. Oh, they were getting maybe ready for guests. I think that's what happens here. It looks to me like, and this would be my dad going, what sort of college graduate's going to get off of that plane? That's what he'd be thinking. Greeting each other. Now the thing is, they're coming, but you think they're the guest, but you can tell by the footage that Dad shot that there's a guide plane for this next plane coming in, and all this was some sort of like reception, obviously, or some bigwig came, and there's his plane. And now they got all the guys out there standing to attention, and I have no way of knowing who's on that plane, but I'm pretty sure my dad thought it was someone who really didn't do a whole lot other than travel around, and he wasn't a real officer. I think he didn't mind officers. He liked officers, actually, I'm sure, but sometimes he didn't. And I can only imagine what he's thinking as he's shooting this. First of all, I wondered why someone didn't say, "Hey, Wilson, what are you doing? Don't be shooting that stuff. That's our jukebox. That's our new jukebox, and we don't want people seeing what we're spending money on." So there's the Korean flag, American flag, probably the base flag. Going into a little bit of formation. Dad's getting this shot. Like I said, this is 60. I believe this is 68. I mean, I could be way wrong. And there's the muckety mucks. United States Air Force guys landing in Korea. Could have been talking about, I don't know what they could have been talking about at that point, because I don't know the year exactly. I think it's 68, 67. I know Dad was in Korea in 53, Busan, but then I think he went back later, and this is his second time. But I could have that wrong too. I could have any of this wrong. I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm surmising. It's in the title of the thing. I said surmised by 36 minutes of my dad's 8mm footage. So those guys look like very important people, and they sure got attention. This is how the military, you don't just show up and you get all this fanfare, all this formality. And there's where Dad lived. I think that's where he lived, I'm pretty sure. And then, there was life going on around. The way people would carry things, and the way they'd look at these, what are these Americans, what are these foreigners doing here? Not sure how they probably felt about it. But, life went on near Kwang Ju Air Base. And that's the Korean Air Force. So, training their pilots, they did, their share of flying. And Dad likes planes, and so this was his capturing the air traffic around there. This guy drops out of the sky pretty quick, actually. Yeah, these bitchin' ass planes right here. I think this is Air Force. Yeah, that's us. And I don't know what kind of plane that is, but it's got a pointy nose and it's very modern. That's what makes me think this is around 1968. And the Korean planes, obviously, are older planes. That's one there. And then, the traffic of people coming in and out of an Air Force base. And then I remember my dad, think I remember my dad telling me about there was a time a plane went down, and a plane goes down outside of the base, so they have to get special like protection, because I'm sure it's not in an area they normally go to. So you can see the debris field there. That's kind of showing this, and then the big chunks of, some of them are planes, some are haystacks, but it's a debris field of the plane. There's a tail, and not sure what those workers are doing up there. So I'm assuming they had to have special protection because they're not in an area, that's like super safe, and that they knew they could kind of get out and do what they needed to do in. So they had these amphibious vehicles bringing soldiers, probably to do the work of cleaning up the debris field too. But I don't know, Dad had access to all this stuff. So then folks come out to this site where this plane crashed. I'm assuming someone died at this point, a pilot, more than likely. But these people are showing up at the site to the local authority. He's just like, "Who are you? Put that thing down, Wilson." So, and you can see there's a helicopter showed up. Dad's probably thought that's pretty good. So they have some extra support while they're dealing with this plane that went down. They're not just going to leave the plane there. And so, they're going to deal with trying to dispose of it. So, to do that, you have to bring a team of people. You got to have extra support. You have to have protection, I guess. And that looks like I don't know which, if that's Korean or if that's American. I think that's American. But the local citizenry showed up to it where the plane went down. And it's a pretty cool shot. Everybody wearing white. Looks like the guy's kind of giving some sort of ceremony. The guy's standing there. I'm sure this impressed my dad, actually. And so did that. The whole environment and the whole scene must have been pretty tense. You're out in the middle of somewhere you really don't know exactly what's going on. But you got a lot of, support and a lot of protection. So, but he kept shooting. Kept this camera out, and I don't know where he got all this film. This is a good 4 or 5 rolls, but so then you got your soldiers to go out to the debris field and start, taking care of bits and pieces, and you want to be careful about something that may explode. They brought a box of explosives right there out with them. That box obviously didn't just crash. The guy carried it out there, but there's some bombs or whatever that were on the plane, and Dad likely put those on the plane. So they're dragging them all to a pile here of where, they can get it all to where they can manage, and they're throwing it into a pit. All these airplane parts. Pretty good camera work by Dad here, actually. Found a good location to shoot from. And so they're piling in the pieces of the fighter jet. I'm sure pieces that Dad, maybe recognized, or at least knew real well what they were. So they're up on the hill. You can see the guy packing C4, I suppose, or some sort of explosive on the right there. He's massaging it. He's going to put that in the pile and hopefully blow it up enough to where, first of all, there's nothing left that could hurt someone, I suppose. And second of all, there's nothing left for it. And there's the explosion right there. That's pretty good. That's a long way away. That's a pretty good explosion. So here's the hole they went back to, and checking out what probably just checking, making sure nothing's still like explosively ready to go, or significant left behind that an enemy might benefit from knowing about. Those are certainly South Korean soldiers. And so then they fly the flags at half-mast. I think this has something to do with it, like it might be a funeral, but I can't tell if this footage was at the same time. So anyway, it was a tragic event, I'm sure. So then, what do you do when it's all done? You do the work. You play a little baseball. So the Koreans had a team and the Americans had a team, and they lined up and they played each other. And Dad loves baseball, so I don't know who's doing the camera work here, but I know him, and I know that's him. That's his swing. Ground out. Swing the bat, Dad. Come on. That's what he used to yell at me. Oop, that was a rope. Okay, here's another at bat. Boom, kind of in the ground. Another one, boom. Again, we grounded that one down too. But he must have got a... So then we play a little baseball, have a little fun, and when it's all over, you salute each other, and you go back to work again. And that's that.